Welcome back to our channel, Movie Lovers. Hudson is a neighborhood where extreme poverty, drugs and illicit murder going on every day. Across the bridge lies a different community, characterized by wealth, influence, and a hopeful future awaiting its residents. Ruth Jennings is relocating from the other side of the bridge to Hudson because of her son's basketball career. Marcus Jennings is an 18-year-old basketball player who is looking forward to playing in the NBA. When they arrive, Ruth warns Marcus not to associate himself with RD. RD is the man who runs Hudson. He has everyone under him, which includes Marcus and his three friends, Ty, Ray, and Junior. One day after playing, Marcus and his friends go to their favorite eatery to enjoy some chicken and fries. There, they make jokes and laugh and then head outside to finish their meal. While they are eating, RD arrives and joins them. It is evident that Marcus wants out. He asks RD to pay him his money from the previous games he played, and RD gives him 40% of the money. He tells Marcus about some connections he wants to put him in, but he rejects it and asks for the remaining 20% of his money. RD hands him the remaining money and reminds him that he wields authority in the neighborhood. Marcus then goes to his coach, Sam, to help him with the kids. Coach Sam pulls him aside and advises him to stay close to home and cut RD off. Marcus discloses that he is trying hard, and Coach Sam encourages him to put in more effort. He tells Marcus how happy he'll be when he sees him getting on the plane. Later that night in the hopeful neighborhood, a Christmas party is ongoing where we see Vanessa, a reporter, alongside her mom and her colleague Ed. They talk about Marcus' talent and how good he'll be if moved from Hudson. Back in Hudson, RD and his lady are having some fun at his party when Marcus' friends arrive, and the guard takes confirmation from RD before letting them in. In no time, Marcus also arrives and the guard lets him pass without any problem. RD's mood changes at once when he sees this. Marcus goes to sit with RD's lady and begins to introduce himself. RD calls him out to come and greet him and his friends, and he does so without hesitation. After that, RD lets him know that he is with his lady, but he doesn't mind and returns to her. RD becomes furious so much that he lets one of his men kill a guard for no apparent reason. Marcus can't bear seeing it, so he leaves. Days later, Coach Sam invites some scouts over to watch Marcus and his team play. Detective and his colleague, Kevin, are all present since they are all friends of Coach Sam. The Outcast Productions is eager to film Marcus since they've heard of his talent. Marcus exhibits his remarkable talent, gaining the recognition of the scouts. Junior and Ray are happy about Marcus' success, but RD shows no signs of happiness and leaves their side. The scouts speak to Marcus after the game, congratulating him on making it. Detective David approaches Vanessa, a former flame from his past. He tries to have a conversation with her, but she leaves him behind and proceeds to interview Marcus. RD comes to congratulate Marcus for playing good, but Marcus ignores him and leaves with his mom. With 3 days left for Marcus to leave Hudson, Ruth tells him to focus and stop moving around with his friends all the time. Marcus promises Ruth that he'll be fine and gives a flower to show his love for her. He then shows her the mom tattoo he made on her chest and leaves to meet his friends. Early the next morning, while Marcus is at the eatery, Vanessa and Andy arrive to do a documentary on him. Vanessa takes a moment to address Marcus, who seems to find humor in response to serious questions and requests from him to be more serious. He still doesn't mind her talks and opts to take a picture with her. Later at night, Ruth holds a small party for Marcus' success. Detective David and Vanessa, despite their complicated relationship, end up discussing each other when Ruth asks some questions about themselves. Marcus' friend Renee, a basketball player who recently secured a scholarship for law school through her involvement in basketball, is also present. Things get heated when Vanessa mentions that every player should be focused on the love of the game and not a $100,000 sports car. Detective David finds that to be naive, and he gets support from Marcus and Ty. Ruth cuts the argument short and calls for a prayer. Ty becomes reluctant when it comes to this, but Ruth drags him to join. After the little get-together, Ty and Renee join the others at the eatery. Ray tells Renee how much he is going to miss her when she leaves for college. Ty tells them about the farewell dinner for Marcus and starts sounding like he is jealous. Marcus joins them shortly and leaves with Renee. The following day, Vanessa and Andy drop by at the children's basketball class to gather all the information there, as Marcus had learned everything from there. Jermaine observes Ty conversing with RD outdoors and cautions him about the risks, recalling how he tragically lost his brother to the very same path Ty seems to be heading down. Ty snubs him and leaves with his little brother, saying their lives aren't the same. Later that night, Marcus crosses paths with RD on the bridge. RD makes it clear to Marcus that he won't allow him to bring down his name and reputation. He starts reminiscing with Marcus about the times when he stood by him and his friends during their challenging moments when they had nothing. Marcus also reminds him that he supported him because he had talent, and that same talent is taking him somewhere else. Marcus explains that he has a lot of people counting on him and the kids in the neighborhood look up to him, so he can't stay in Hudson and live the life that he expects of him. He finally makes it clear to him that he won't get what he wants this time and leaves. Marcus is at home when Renee comes to visit with a goodbye present. Marcus opens up to her about how things are getting out of control since RD can't let go. Renee suggests that he tell his mom everything, but he says he doesn't want to draw her into it. He reassures her, telling her not to worry because he is going to take care of it. Renee then confesses her love for Marcus and promises to wait for him till he returns. It's Marcus' last day in Hudson. Ruth expresses how proud she is as his mother. Marcus, distressed, tells his mom to leave Hudson when he leaves. Ruth finds this a little confusing and asks him to make things clear. He explains that he just wants her safe because it isn't safe here. She takes it and tells him how much she loves him and then leaves him to finish packing. At the eatery, Ty gets furious on a phone call and knocks his food off the table. Ray notices that Ty hasn't been himself lately and gets mad over little things. At home, Shauna visits Marcus. Marcus gives her some money to pay for their rent since he saw the eviction notice on their door. Shauna thanks him. While they are talking, Marcus gets a call and leaves immediately without telling Shauna or his mom where he is heading to. Marcus is seen with his friends walking towards the bridge and arguing with Ty. When they get to the bridge and Marcus says he has to go home because it's late, Ray and Junior intend to go with him, but Ty stops them. Marcus then heads to the bridge alone. Minutes later, the woman is at the eatery when she sees some police cars and ambulance passing. Marcus is then seen lying on the bridge with his phone in hand trying to answer his mom's call. The following morning, Detective David and Kevin go to Ruth's place to give her the news about her son's death. Vanessa also goes to the eatery to question the woman if something happened there before they left. RD shows up outside the eatery, so the woman keeps everything brief and Vanessa leaves. Later, Vanessa and Andy are at the parking lot when they spot RD. Vanessa leaves what she's doing and joins RD in his car. She begins to question RD on why he couldn't let Marcus go. Just when he is about to speak, Detective David arrives and pulls her out of RD's car into his. Detective David then draws his gun on RD, instructing him to report to the station in an hour. Detective David and Vanessa arrive at the station. He leaves Vanessa to Detective Kevin's care and heads on to interrogate RD. Only a few minutes into the questioning, RD's lawyer gets pissed and asks RD to leave. While RD is leaving, Detective David lets him know that he is going to be spending a lot of time in Hudson to be monitoring him and his boys. RD says it late for that and makes fun of Marcus' death. After the interrogation, Detective David finds out that Vanessa has left the station. Quickly, he drops by her house to find out if she's there. Vanessa lets her in and he begins to lecture her on how risky it is mingling with RD. He tells her to leave everything for the police to handle, but she also tells him that they are late on it. Vanessa, seeing how hurt Detective David is by what she said, begins to apologize. They settle their differences there and he returns to the station to continue his work. Detective David hands out his card to Ty to call him whenever he wants to speak, but he shows no interest in it and leaves. He then goes on to interrogate Junior. Junior is finding it hard to say what happened, but his mom assures him that he'll be alright and he begins to narrate how everything went. Marcus and Ty had an argument. Junior explains that no one wanted to go to the bridge except Ty. He talked them into going and they all went. When they got to the bridge, Ty left Marcus to go alone and stopped Ray and Junior when they wanted to follow. About a minute later, they heard a gunshot and ran off, afraid for their lives. Detective David thanks Junior for his honesty and they leave. Later that night, Detective David goes for Marcus' body and takes it to his mom to dress him up. The next day at the church is Marcus' funeral service. Almost the whole community came to mourn his death, including the children's basketball team. RD is at the service when he recalls how he killed Marcus on the bridge. No one sees this and the service continues. They take Marcus out of the church to the burial ground while RD stands aside and watches with an evil smile on his face. Later that night, during the candlelight vigil, Ty is deeply moved by Ruth's speech, causing him to leave. RD goes after him and finds him sobbing and begins to laugh at him. Ty gets angry and gives him back his necklace, showing he doesn't want anything to do with him. RD becomes furious and brings out his gun. While they are fighting over the gun, a gunshot is heard, but we don't see who got hit by the bullet. The end.